ChatGPT just released its Apps SDK recently. The ChatGPT Apps SDK makes a major shift in how people interact with AI. Instead of ChatGPT being just a place to type prompts and get text responses, it's now a full platform, one where developers can build and run interactive apps directly inside the chat. With an audience of more than 800 million weekly users, apps have the potential to be seen by a very large user base. At its core, the SDK is built on the MCP context model protocol, an open standard that defines how AI models connect to tools, APIs, and data sources. This means apps built with the SDK can safely access an external information, platform actions, or display custom UIs through structured, permissioned communication between ChatGPT and the app's backend. A few months ago, I built Multimodal MCP server client application, and I also, in the video section, I explained how MCP works in general and in agent-to-agent workflow, which you can also explore in my GitHub repository. Now I created multimodal MCP app that can run directly inside ChatGPT. It demonstrates how the AI apps SDK and MCP work together to enable rich, interactive, and multimodal experiences within the chat environment. The ChatGPT Apps SDK acts as a bridge between the user interface and the MCP, elegantly connecting what users see and interact with inside ChatGPT to the underlying logic tools and the data defined through MCP. We will run the entire application locally, including both the UI and the MCP server. This setup makes it easy to test and iterate. The UI runs inside ChatGPT while the local MCP server handles all the logic and data flow behind the scenes. You will see that ChatGPT already includes several built-in apps such as Booking.com for travel and communications, and connectors like Microsoft Teams, which you can link directly to your workspace. These examples show how the Apps SDK enables seamless integration between ChatGPT and real-world services, all accessible right inside the chat. Our application is based on the ChatGPT Apps SDK Next.js starter project from Vercel Labs. This starter template provides a ready-to-use foundation for developing ChatGPT apps and greatly simplifies the development process, handling much of the setup, configuration, and integration for you. To make our local development server accessible to ChatGPT, we use ngrok, which securely exposes our local host to the internet. This allows ChatGPT to communicate with the app running on our machine, just as if it were deployed online. Perfect for testing and development. You will need to install ngrok on your machine. You will also need the ChatGPT Plus or Pro plan to develop and test your app, as the free version doesn't support app development or access to the app's SDK environment. To enable the developer mode in ChatGPT, go Settings, Apps and Connections. And by the way, you will see also the application connectors on this page. Then Advanced Settings and toggle Developer Mode. After enabling it, you can now create an application. But first we have to run our application in developer mode. So to run the application in developer mode, we'll type npm run dev. We open the application on port 3000 localhost and see the standalone UI, not inside the ChatGPT page. To access the MCP, we just append MCP. So we'll navigate it to the MCP route. Now we have to expose localhost using ngrok. We just type ngrok http 3000. So now this generates an external address that ChatGPT can connect to. We just copy this. We name our application like Multimodal MCP, add MCP server URL, no authentication, and click on create. Now it's created. Now we can go to this. Now we can just click the plus icon, then select more, and we will see our multimodal MCP, and we can also select it. Once I selected multimodal and MCP, I just type show multimodal UI. This is the UI we previously saw on localhost 3000. We click on show tools, and these are the tools that multimodal MCP uses for different purposes. Then I select the chart tool and type show my Microsoft Microsoft's most popular products by product name in a bar chart. Now look, I am refreshing the page and everything is loading again. I select video tool, hide tools, and type please. I'm refreshing the browser, and you can see that the state is preserved. We will look into this in the next section when debugging the application. On the local host, I can see the tools loading, and I can even refresh the tools because we fetch the tools from MCP. But when I type show Microsoft products and search, we see that We see the error, and the reason is that when fetching data we use the ChatGPT Apps SDK function call, which is not available in the localhost environment. Still, running on localhost is useful when we want to view or debug the UI, that we will see in the next section. Ideally, there is no need to manually select the tool and then prompt it. We may have a routing agent that, based on your prompt, automatically routes the request to the appropriate tool and returns the response. The reason we have the UI is that the ChatGPT Apps SDK application will likely be a rich UI-based application. Now, let's call out the tool, video tool. I select the video tool and type, and once it's selected, I just can type ocean animals. We show the YouTube thumbnail and can also navigate to the YouTube page. We select document tool and type recent documents from Microsoft about AI. Audio tool. We type hello, how are you?
Hello, how are you?
You can also download the audio. The image tool. We type mountain of Ararat. From the Armenian side. After refreshing the page, all date and state are preserved. Let's debug the application. We select Multimodal MCP and type show Multimodal MCP UI. Our HTTP request is made to the MCP endpoint. The handler is triggered for both the GET and POST request, and the logic runs inside the create MCP handler. Since we are using Next.js application and not going into details, we can see that the getApps SDK compatible HTML function returns a complete HTML document containing Next.js metadata and the React Server component payload. ChatGPT then renders this document inside an iframe to display your application. The content widget configuration. It's an ID, it's show UI, it's a unique tool identifier for the MCP tool. Title multimodal MCP UI. It's a display name shown in ChatGPT. Template URI. It's a virtual URI that links to the tool that links the tool to its resource. Invoking. It's a status message showing while the widget is loading. Invoked. Status message shown when the widget finishes loading. We will see HTML. The complete HTML string fetched from your Next.js application. This is the actual HTML content that gets rendered in the iframe. Description, human-readable description of what the widget does, shown to ChatGPT and users when describing the tool's purpose. We will see it also. And widget domain or origin identifier for the widget. I just pointed to my multimodal MCP GitHub page that we will see also. The register resource function registers a resource in the MCP server. In MCP, resources are content that can be fetched via URI. They differ from tools. Tools are callable actions like functions or endpoints. Resources are fetchable content, such as documents, HTML, or files. Resources are exposed via the MCP protocol, so ChatGPT or other clients can request them. MIME type is a text HTML plus skybridge content type for HTML widgets in ChatGPT. Meta. It's OpenAI specific metadata. Widget description is a description for the widget UI. Like a widget prefers border, its visual preference. Result can produce widget. It indicates that it produces a widget accessible, whether the widget is accessible. Then async URI, async functions called when ChatGPT requests the resource URI. And let's start it over. Show multimodal MCP UI. So now this register tool's ID is show UI tool, and this is the show UI tool. Is this the only one that contains the output template metadata which is required to trigger widget rendering? So the Show UI tool acts as the entry point for displaying your interactive UI. Once the UI is loaded, users can interact with it, and the UI internally calls the other tools as needed. So as you can see, we have also other tools like video or audio. They are standard MCP tools that simply return data. So as we said, when it's invoked, we have UI ready, which is status message shown when the widget finishes loading, and we have also description, which is a human readable description of what the widget does. And we also have widget domain. As I said, it will redirect users to my multimodal MCP GitHub page. Let's select an audio tool and type hello, how are you? And you will see that in this case the audio tool will be triggered. Let's go to localhost 3000. You will see that debugger is hit, and this is fine. Now you can debug your UI here. However, any ChatGPT related functionality should be debugged using ELF12, the browser developer tool. Let's open the browser developer tools, select the audio tool and type again hello, how are you? You can see that we call the tool and receive response, actually which contains the generated mp3 file path. The, the, the SDK includes support for full screen mode, which allowing widgets to expand to fill the entire screen for enhanced viewing experience. So in this example, you see we have a button. A button is provided that triggers a request for full screen view when clicked. Actually, this demo application doesn't implement any specific logic for full screen rendering, but your application's UI can be customized to adapt its layout or behavior when switching to full screen mode. This code, you can see that we use widgets hook. The state keeps track of several things, such as the query results, the query text, tools visibility, whether they are shown or hidden, and the currently selected tool. So let's select video tool, for example, type hello, and the tools are shown. And you see that the state is preserved. So it's important to note that the state is managed by ChatGPT's parent window, not by your widget local storage. In other words, the data is not stored inside your iFrame storage. It's controlled and persisted by ChatGPT itself.